Welcome to After Contract Hours, the show where we clock out at work to check in on the well-being of the world. Today, we have a truly special guest who is about to take us on a journey across continents and cultures. Imagine leaving your home in Germany to spend a year in America as a foreign exchange student. Our guest, Severin Bohn, did just that. And in this episode, he'll be sharing his eye-opening experiences, the challenges he faced, and the incredible moments that shaped his perspectives. Get ready for an enlightening conversation as we dive into the world of cultural exchange right here on After Contract Hours. All right. So welcome, Mr. Severin Bohn. I am so excited to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Courtney. I'm officially like 2 years out of this whole exchange experience, and I'm doing well in Germany again.
This is so good. You look so great, so healthy. You look happy, and it's just so freaking awesome to see you. You were someone when you were with us that I just really connected to. We had such a nice relationship whenever you were here, and I was so sad to see you gone, but it is such a blessing to have you back, and I'm honored to have you on my podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the topic of this episode is going to be encompassing your experiences as a foreign exchange student. And I know you shared things with me whenever you were here because I was just so enamored by you and just who you are, your life experiences. But I am so excited, even myself, to learn more about it in depth today. But the purpose of this episode is just to shed light on your experiences for other potential exchange students that want to tap in and learn what to prepare for, what to expect, what struggles they may encounter, and how to overcome those in the end. So why don't you start by kind of giving us a background, like introduction to who you are, where you're from, and anything you want to share about that.
Severin Bohn. I'm 17 years old now. Back in high school, when I went to North Point, I was in between 15 and 16. And I am from Münster, Germany, which is in the western part of Germany, like a little town nobody really knows. But I went to Wentzville 2 years ago, so 2021 to 2022, and spent a whole sophomore year over there. And I had a very interesting experience.
That's awesome. So what was it like? Like, how did you and your family come to this agreement that you were going to come do this?
Right. So my brother also did an exchange year in Vancouver, actually in Canada. And he had a great experience. And we visited his family as well, like a couple of years later. And over there, I just really felt like I wanted to see more of the world, you know. I saw some stuff in Europe, of course. It's not that long a drive to get there and get to other countries, but America was just like a whole different step, and it was so unknown and so foreign for me. Although we had all these cultural ties, and you can't really get around it in movies and in literature, but America was just this big adventure ahead.
Oh, that just gave me goosebumps, like for you, like that. You're 17 now, right? Is that what you said? Yes.
Right.
You're 17, which is so young, but and I even remember saying this to you when I met you when you were 15 and a half, right? Like you are so wise beyond your years, and to hear you just even describe all of that, like you were looking for an adventure, you appreciated what your brother went through, and to be that young and to have that wisdom and that kind of old soul vibe to you is such a beautiful thing. And I think that's why you and I connected so quickly, because I'm kind of like that as well. And that's really beautiful. So for your brother, and how old is he?
He is 22 now. Yeah.
Okay. So 5 years, your senior?
Yeah.
So what made him want to do you kind of know like where it started even for him? Like, why did he want to just experience Canada and do this?
Oh, I think me and him, we both kind of got tired of Münster eventually, and kind of wanted to see even more. And I mean, our parents always supported us when it came to this big step ahead. And when I saw how my brother just became so much more mature and so much more wiser and like a grown man when he came back, I really felt like I want to do that too. And I think he just he just kind of got sick of Münster and wanted to see more of the world. Yeah.
Yeah. So your parents never started that. Like they were never like, kids, do you want to try this someday? It was totally your brother and you just thinking like, let's get out of here.
I think so. I've never really talked to him about that, how that started, but definitely it was not like my parents wanted to hold us back or something. It was more
Mhm.
like, yeah, get out there, make your experiences, and come back after a year. It was such a great support.
Mm. I wish I could hug them for you because, being a secondary teacher, like the age group that I teach, you don't, there are a lot of supportive parents, but there are a lot of helicopter parents, where they just want
Um,
their kids to be protected and sheltered at all times. So to have parents that really encouraged and supported both of their children in doing this adventure is truly a beautiful thing. Like I'm not even a parent yet, but that is really inspiring to me. Like when I want to become a parent someday, that's
yeah,
really awesome. So great. Yay. Okay, so super cool. You guys, you and your brother, kind of your self motivation, right? Like you guys wanted to take this leap and do it. So how did you end up in Missouri? So he was Canada. What made you in the good old Missouri?
well, that was a question I got asked so many times because yeah, when Germans think of like America, they think of the big states. They think of big cities, New York, LA, San Francisco. They do not think about Missouri, of course. Um, when it comes to the program, we had like a program where I had to, or my family had to pay themselves. And when we would have when we would have taken this route, I would have gone to Eastern Canada,
Mhm.
which would have been cool as well, for sure. But I wanted to like even try to go to America too, to the USA. And so I enrolled in the CBOX program, which is pretty cool because it's between the Congress of the United States and the Bundestag, which is our Congress, kind of.
Mm.
And so the members of the Congress and the members of the Bundestag each elect one single person and send them over to the other country, kind of
Oh.
to interconnect both countries and to to support their friendship. And it was really cool because they paid for almost everything, and it was a great experience to also be in contact with like politicians and get that experience too. But the thing was that you couldn't really choose where to go. They send
Mm.
you to whoever is up to taking a exchange student, and for me that was Wentzville, Missouri.
That is wild. Like,
Right.
oh my gosh, that's so wild. And again, I cannot stress it enough, like how much of a blessing it is that you ended up in small town Wentzville, Missouri, out of all of the places in the world you could have ended up because I mean, I was only really around you during cross country stuff, but like
Uh,
I know that you left such a beautiful stamp on North Point High School whenever you came. Like everyone was just so fascinated by you and you were so you were welcoming and you were the one that was supposed to be welcomed. Do you know what I mean? Like you just have this
yeah,
spirit and nature to you that just is so safe. And I just watched kids gravitate towards you and they were so comfortable with you. Like it was just awesome. It really was amazing. I'm so grateful that you ended up where we were. Stella, come here.
yeah. So, yeah, thank you, first of all. I was really surprised by this cheerfulness and the welcoming and just the hospitality of the people in the USA. And I think that's a specifically a good thing in Missouri. I don't know.
Mm.
I just experienced the people as being more kind than, for example, as I experienced in New York or LA. It was just like this great hospitality I experienced. And yeah, that's the same for the school as well, and for the wonderful cross country team.
Oh, well, and that was a really cool factor for you also. Like, that was the first year that North Point was open or the second? I think it was,
It was the first, actually. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So you had experience at a brand new high school, like bells and whistles, shiny, brand new.
Right.
So what was that like for you?
Well, it still like changes my view of high school because I, of course, shared my experience with many other exchange students, and they talked about completely different schools. But Northland was just so state of the art and so new that I have a really good remembrance, kind of yeah, of the high school itself. Um, yeah, it was the first year, so many people just didn't know each other that good, and you kind of didn't have the feeling that you were a complete outsider to the whole high school cosmos, but that you kind of started with them, and yeah, yeah, made your first friendships for sure.
That was a perfect way of putting that because I didn't even think about that. You're so right. You know, North Point opening up for the first year, that was a very unique experience. And I'm going to quickly shed light on that for listeners
Of
um,
course.
to help expand the point I'm making to what you said. So, how Severin just noted that like everybody was kind of new together. And so he felt he didn't really have that outcast or outsider feeling like he was coming into this, school culture that had been established and developed over years and years. He was starting a brand new school year with every other student was brand new. And so how this was unique, and I could be a little bit wrong on some of the details I'm giving because I don't know everything about the situation, but from what I was told and what I do know, I used to work at Wentzville Middle School for the first 6 years of my teaching career, and Holt High School was the feeder high school. And so North Point High School, when that was built, Holt High School students, I think the first year for North Point to open, the students that were originally going to attend Holt had an option to either stay at Holt or they could move and go start at a new high school of North Point. Now, what I don't know, what I'm fuzzy on with the details, is if that was only certain grades that could make that choice. Like I think pretty sure the incoming freshmen that were eighth graders with me at Wentzville Middle at the time, I think they had a choice to go. I don't know. I don't know if it was everybody, but nonetheless, it was a very unique experience for all the other students because the kids that chose to go to North Point High School, they did have a big decision. Like they were leaving a lot of their friends behind at Holt that they grew up with, right? Their whole elementary and middle school career. And then some of them left and some of them chose to stay. And so Severin's saying he opened up North Point High School with all these other kids. And I bet that was a really unique experience for every student in that building. They were all starting it. I'm sure a lot of them can relate to what you just said. Like it wasn't really an outcast feeling. It was just kind of like, whoop, buckle up. We're all in this together.
Yeah, definitely. And cross country helps because, um, you know, in this whole lessons and the new courses I had, I didn't really have the time to make these new connections as good as in cross country because cross country was 6 days a week. So you really kind of had to, yeah, kind of had to come together and get together as a team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that was another thing. So, again, for listeners, I was an assistant cross country coach for Severin and his teammates at North Point High School this year that he was with us. And um, also for sports and clubs, like when a school opens up for the first time, it's a slow start for a lot of those extracurricular activities. Like for
Mhm.
example, our team had maybe 10 athletes on it, maybe
Yeah.
question mark, like six. I remember like in the summertime it was maybe like 5 to 6 kind of showed up, and then once the season actually started in the fall it was between like 6 and 10, but it really wasn't more than that I can think of. And I remember a lot of athletes feeling discouraged about that, like, oh, we should be as big as the football team or, the soccer team. And every team had their own struggles as they started this new journey, right? And I learned a lot even as a coach. I've never opened up a brand new school before. Well, now I have with my middle school, but at the time I hadn't. So it was all new to me. I was also used to big teams and with cross country and track and all the things I coached. So what was it for you that made you want to specifically try cross country?
Oh, that's a great question. So first of all, we don't have really like school sports in Germany, so it was a whole different thing to like start out at a school sport where you are together with your peers from school actually, and not just at some random club in Münster or in a town. And I did karate like 8 years before that, and really, yeah, wanted to try something new because I never have done any other sport, and I'm just really bad at like throwing stuff and catching it too. So yeah, I went down the file and I found cross country, Googled it, and I thought, yeah, why not try running? I mean, I love running for sure, and I had the feeling that many of the people there shared that love.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it. And again, just hearing you say like you Google, like you did your research on what it was, like that again is just a testament to you being wise. Like so many other kids would just jump into things not knowing what it was. I mean, I coached cross country, I did cross country and track in college. Like it was my jam, but there are so many people that are like, what's cross country? Yeah, I'll do it. And they'll sign up for it, but then they quit after the first week because they're like, oh, it's running. I hate running. Why did I do this? So the fact that you even took the time to do your research, again, just wise beyond your years and a skill, like you're very resourceful. And that I'm glad that you did that. And for your sake. And like I was the same way. I was terrible when I was, in elementary school, in middle school, probably a little bit even in high school. Like I was not coordinated with
Hmm.
any object, like manipulating any ball. Like I did soccer when I was little, but I was horrible at it. Like
Hmm.
so but that's why I connected to running also because you didn't have to manipulate an object and it was just so liberating, kind of like therapeutic almost. You're just vibing with yourself and thinking about all of the things on your runs and getting in shape while
Yeah.
you're doing it. So I get that. I totally get that. And I'm so glad that you chose cross country, even though it can be a very grueling sport with the heat that you're running in and the miles you're putting in and the injuries you can
Yeah.
get. So, did you have other coaches at North Point High School trying to recruit you to do their sport?
I think I talked with the football coach one time about like yeah, maybe joining, but that wasn't really a real question. I mean, I told him that cross country is more of my jam, and that I wouldn't really be an addition to the team in football. And I
Oh,
think he accepted it after all. But of course, it's a stereotype for like a exchange student to go to an American school and, of course, be the football star and go to baseball and do all these American sports, kind of. Because over here, you kind of go to a soccer club at like 6 years old, and then you do it for your life, or you do handball or something like these big sports. But yeah, I didn't expect myself to go into like a small sport and transition from karate into cross country, which was a sport also nobody knew in Germany and nobody still knows.
yeah, yeah. Well, you brought that home. You were able
Kind
to
of, yeah.
kind of share about that. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm glad that the football coaches over there are awesome. So I love that they approached you at least to try to get you involved in something. And also kudos to you for following your heart on that and just saying, hey man, like appreciate you, but I don't think I'd be much of
Yeah, I think that was a crisis averted for sure.
Yeah. Now, did you like, so let's kind of transition to your school schedule. So what classes did you take that year?
I had the wonderful chance to like try something totally new because my school is like 130 years old, and we have things like Latin and Greek and stuff that we still have to learn. And coming to a new school where you had such cool classes as like theater tech and film as literature was just a amazing chance for me. So I chose like all these kinds of electives because I knew that I was going to retake the year back in Germany. And so I didn't really have the problem with like keeping up with school back in Germany. So I chose all kinds of stuff like home maintenance sounded just great.
That's a
Um,
class?
it is.
What? I never knew that. What did you do? Sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah, for sure.
what did
Um,
you do in that?
well, we one time we built like a drywall. We interconnected stuff to build a toilet. It was so it was so cool. I learned how much an inch is and how much like the imperial system, how it works. Yeah, it was an amazing chance for me.
That is crazy. Like home improvement stuff, like how to fix things. We
Right.
never freaking had that when I was in school. Thank God I have a husband that can do all of those things. I would be pathetic. That is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Then we had like guitar class, and I definitely enrolled in that because yeah, that would just be an extracurricular activity back in Germany. So why not take it as a whole class here?
Yeah.
And then such great things. Theater tech, um, um, film as literature, where you just like kind of watch films and then write an essay about it. Yeah, I had a lot of fun in these classes for sure.
Wow.
And
Now, were they school semester long or were they the whole school year?
I had guitar the whole semester and home maintenance just the first one, and then I had I think basic psychology or something like
Mm.
which I really enjoyed because yeah, I think I still get something out of this class in my day-to-day life, and that was definitely a big step for me to get like more yeah, emotionally mature.
Oh, and you mean in the psychology class or just in general?
The psychology class,
Yeah.
yeah, specifically, it was so cool. I learned such great new stuff.
It's so fascinating. I am obsessed with psychology. That's what my doctorate is in, health psychology. I've always been
Yeah.
so fascinated by why people act the way they are or the way they do, or like why people are the way they are because of their experiences and their behaviors. Like, and the fact that you said that it emotionally matured you, like, again, that is mature in itself. Like, you're so young, and the fact that you were able to get that out of it is so powerful. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, did you take like health and PE and or like weightlifting courses, or is it more just what you wanted to do?
Well, it was all a bit behind the deadline because
Oh.
well, first of all, I didn't really know where I was gonna go in the whole continental US like 2 weeks before I had my flight. So it was all pretty late. And so I went to the school and I had to pick like these classes, but most of them were already taken. So weightlifting, for example, would have been cool, or some other health class, but that wasn't really yeah, up to debate anymore. So I had to kind of pick my own stuff, and it led me to taking guitar class, which is a decision yeah, I strongly support till today.
Do you still play guitar in Germany back at home?
Yeah, well, every now and then. Yeah, it works. I mean, I'm doing scouts still. I did it in the US, and I started way more years before that in Germany. And yeah, it works out great at the campfire.
Oh, I love that. I've always been infatuated with music. Because my whole family, my dad's side of the family is very musically inclined. You know, two of my uncles
Mm.
had their own band and like traveled all over the place. And my cousins, same thing. And, singers, songwriters, like they're just so talented. And I could never read music. It never clicked with me. I took a guitar class in eighth grade and I loved it. And I can still play the little tunes I learned back then. I loved
Yeah.
it so much. I just never stuck with it, but music is an art and it takes some very special people to have that gift. So I'm very happy that you got that out of, that was a whole class for you. That's a beautiful, beautiful experience. All of
Yeah.
it. My gosh, you had,
There's so many chances that I made, or so many chances I could take that wouldn't have been really easy in Germany, because we don't have like health classes or stuff. We have PE for sure, but it's not like separated into weightlifting or yoga, which you have, I think.
Mhm.
And that's just so cool because I see these people coming out and coming out into the PE class and not really having any motivation or just being like kind of tired. And I think the chance to pick your own PE course would be such a great addition to our school system as well. Like those, big guys trying to do weightlifting for sure. And then, yeah, others who maybe want to enroll in yoga.
Mhm. Wow. I'm just hearing you say, I'm so many surprising things to me. Like, I'm going to rewind a little bit. Sorry, a couple minutes ago that it's still in my brain. So you said that your time at North Point High School in Wentzville, Missouri, like whatever classes you took, even if you failed everything, that wouldn't impact you in Germany. Like you'd have to go back to Germany and like elaborate
Right.
on that.
Right. So in order to get the scholarship from the CVX program, I had to do like history, American history, and English, of course, to
Mhm.
take something back and learn something. But otherwise, I made the decision to yeah, to repeat the year after I come home. Um, some people didn't. Some people just like jumped to the next class. But we have 13 years or 12 years in Germany for the whole school and like for the whole school experience. So you graduate as a senior or 1 year later. Um, yeah, kind of difficult to explain.
Yeah.
Should I start all over again?
No, you're doing great. No,
We're getting into like weirdly specific stuff about Germany. Anyways, um, I decided that I wanted to retake the whole year and to not have to stress about anything. And I heard about people like taking all these kind of textbooks into their luggage to take with them to America, and that was just not an option for me. Also, I would have to take Latin for another year after the exchange year, and I decided to skip that and start with Spanish. So it wasn't a bad decision at all.
Yeah, when everything happens for a reason, that's all just so fascinating to me. And how much more liberation you have and freedom of choice, like knowing in your mind, like when you go back, you made that decision to pick up where you kind of left off in Germany. So you really spent this year in America genuinely doing anything that you wanted to do to maximize your life experience and growth. Like that's,
Yeah,
I have
but
goosebumps
but
again.
but also I envision it a bit easier. But when I came back, I kind of had the feeling that I'm like in between two grades, if you understand what I mean.
Mhm.
And I still have that feeling because I kind of yeah, forgot that my grade back home is just yeah, full of so wonderful people, and that I kind of yeah, missed their transition to the senior grade, and now I'm like 1 year behind.
That's what I was gonna ask for clarity on. So yeah, that makes sense. And I don't know, but like I can definitely see where that could be a struggle for sure. But also look at what you got out of what
Right.
you did do, like that is so powerful. And there are not many people in the world that get that opportunity to do what you did. And you've done nothing but express, yeah, most gratitude and appreciation for everything that you've experienced here, which I again think is beautiful. Like so many kids these days don't even know what gratitude is and appreciation and respect. And you've always been that person. And so that is just so, so precious, truly. Like that's such a great quality that you've always had since I've known you. So that's really great. I'm so happy that you had that
Yeah.
experience. So tell me now, I've never really heard you talk about major struggles you've had in America. So did you encounter any like woof, like you went home after school one day and were just like, wow, that was a rough day?
Yeah, I mean, we had some classes before the exchange to like prepare us for that because they didn't want to, throw us out there and make our experience from scratch. But they like prepared us for something that is quite often a thing when it comes to an exchange year, that you like start off with your peak motivation and just you're so cheerful and happy, and then it kind of winds down till Christmas, where you like think, oh my God, I miss my family. I want to go home. That's just the bottom. And then most of the time in the second half, it like goes up again, and you kind of get your rhythm in and get along great with the family, and get some friends, of course. And then it winds up, and you get back to that peak motivation, and that was just always the thing I had in front of my mind when I experienced struggles, because it was mostly accurate. So during the cross country phase, it was great to have that community and the family, and after that, I just kind of felt like, oh damn, I really got to get some more connections in school, and it kind of winded down over Christmas, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the end, it worked out great, and I ended up at the top motivation peak.
Mm. So, wow. So they give you courses on preparing you for that
Uh,
experience, like psychologically, emotionally. That's
right.
amazing. I did not know that. I know nothing about anything with foreign exchange students, but like that's beautiful. That makes me really happy that they did that for you. I genuinely just naively thought that they did throw you to the wolves. Like, okay, you signed up for it. Good luck.
Go for it. Yeah. Make your experiences.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I was so thankful for that.
So how long were those courses, those preparation courses?
I think normally would have been like a whole weekend, but we split it up into different courses during COVID. So yeah, I had to sit at exactly this desk and, listen to a video talk.
Wow. That's amazing. I wish they had courses like that in high school, like your senior year, just a whole course on how to prepare to be an adult, like
Well,
doing the real world.
there are some kinds of this, like there's this finance class I think you have to
Mhm.
take, which I would greatly recommend to German school systems, because we go out there and we, from one day to the other, have to pay our taxes, and we do not know how it's done at all.
Mhm.
So it would be great to have that back here as well. I love that you're kind of preparing them for that. But yeah, classes about mental health and other kinds of stuff after high school would be great too.
Yeah. So that's what is so I'm so glad you just said the last statement you did, because that kind of segues into my motivation for even creating this podcast, right? And like I shared with you on Instagram a little bit, but like, so just to give you some background, I did this assignment in health class at the beginning of this current school year. And how at the middle school that I teach at, how we do health and PE, we're one department. I teach both health and PE to my classes, but we're on like a rotation system where one of our teachers starts in the health classroom and we're in health for, 8 days. And then we rotate into PE for 8 days. And then we rotate into a weight room, which we call the fitness room. And we teach them kind of like fitness lessons. And then they work out like in the weight room for 4 days. And then after that, we go back to PE for 4 more days. And then we go back to health. So it's like this circular
Mhm.
rotation system, which is beautiful in so many ways, because these kids, like so many of us, even adults who have ADHD, like we can't stay focused for a long period of time, and so to give the kids like those 4 days, they get they're satisfied with those 4 days in PE. And, you know, if I'm making something up, if we do a football unit, it's for 4 days, and that's like a good enough fix for them. You know, it's long enough to stay invested and stay focused and do fun football things. But like when that 4th day is over, they're like, okay, we're ready for something new. So that works really well. And that's why I think as a department, we really like that flow. But where it becomes an issue, and my passion anyways, is with the health room and how you just mentioned, you know, to have mental health preparation courses before you go into the real world, like that would be nice. Yeah. And that is I feel that that is our duty as health teachers and physical education teachers. Like when we teach health education, it is supposed to be about mental health, emotional health, physical health, social health, right? Building relationships and healthy things, spiritual health, all these things. It's called comprehensive health education. And you mentioned earlier, correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't have health classes in Germany at all?
No, no, sadly not. At least in my school, and I haven't heard that from other schools as well.
But you have physical education, you just don't have health.
Right, we have PE.
Yeah. Like that's wild to me. And I mean, I even think when I was your age and even younger, like, and we started health education when I was in 8th grade, but it was only physical health. Like we just kind of talked about our body systems and our body parts kind of a thing. I think we talked about puberty a little bit, maybe. Probably not so much in middle school, but it was just physical health that we learned about. And then in high school, when I was in high school, we learned more. We had like sex education, you know, the reproductive system, and, you know, we watched birthing videos and stuff like that. But you couldn't take it, actually wasn't. So I'm all over the place. My freshman year of high school, we had just health education. So we learned basic physical stuff. But again, we never learned mental health. We never talked about emotional health.
Yeah.
And then you had to wait until your senior year of high school when I was in high school. But we had to take sex education before we graduated, but like they wouldn't allow us to take it until we were seniors because of the maturity aspect of it. But that was where we learned about like STDs and, you know, reproduction and all that stuff. But health has changed so much over the years because now it's comprehensive health. Like now we teach mental, physical, emotional, social, which is beautiful. But the problem for me in like middle school, for example, we only get those 4 days. So in those 4 class periods, which are all less than 1 hour, and to be realistic, we only are teaching for probably 20 minutes of that hour, and then they're doing a little assignment. They're only getting 20 minutes for 4 days of an education on, in my biased opinion, probably, but like the most important class they're ever going to need to take. Like you need to learn about you. You need to learn how to take care of yourself and how to cope with your mental health and stressors and build healthy relationships. So anyways, that's just kind of the background. So I did this assignment with my students where I saw it on TikTok, and it was like a relationship building assignment. And I started out in the health classroom this fall in that rotation. And so it was called Walk in My Shoes. And you print out like a little, just like a black and white picture of a shoe, and the kids get to color it and design it however they want. So it's like a cute little art thing. And then they tell the teacher 5 things about themselves that, like, if we were to swap shoes with you for a day, what would I know about my students? Kind of a thing. Well, I encouraged my kids to share whatever they were comfortable with. It could be very surface level, you know, your favorite color, where you were born, whatever. Or if they wanted to go a little bit below surface level, let us into your world a little more. Like, what are you struggling with? Like what, you know, because that can help us as teachers too. Well, the responses I got were so powerful. Like, I mean, I went home crying at times. Like I get emotional thinking about it right now. Like just what kids shared and opened up about, like what they're going through at home, you know, at school, the bullying, the body shaming. I mean, it was horrible, but it was very eye-opening. And it was the most powerful assignment I've ever done in a health classroom. And that's what motivated me to do a podcast, because I'm like, these kids need education and they need to hear about experiences of other people that are going through the same things that they're going through. And we can't cover it in health class. there's no time. So that's kind of where I started this.
Have you gotten feedback from your students on your first podcast episode?
I have. Well, yes, I have, to answer your question. How I posted, I have 2 episodes. The very first one I posted was with a TV star, Clayton Eckerd. Did you watch that one or listen to it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So good.
It was so great.
He is amazing. But that was even pre-podcast. That was just an interview I did with him for another idea I had for my fitness kids. And that interview experience was what motivated me to do a podcast, because I'm like, that was a podcast. Like, that was just conversation. It was flowing. I wasn't like looking at a paper, reading questions.
Right.
So, and I want it to be like that. And so that experience made me think of doing a podcast. So I was nervous to tell my kids to watch it, even though I'm doing it for them. Being a teacher, I'm in more of a spotlight now. Like, I'm taking a risk of being out there. But I think a lot of the boys, I have great relationships with my students, but I think a lot of the young men that I teach were really positively influenced by the fact that my first episode was about male mental health. And I would love for you to speak to this in a moment too, but like, in society, the stigma, these, men are supposed to be strong and not talk about hard things and be emotional. And so I think a lot of the boys were like, oh my gosh, we listened to it, or can we listen to it in class? Like, they were a lot more, it was cute, it hit them. But for you, to that point, like, is it like that in Germany for you too, as a male in society? Like, do they kind of have the same stigma on you guys?
Well, first of all, I wanted to reiterate one thing, that we don't have a certain health class only for health, but we have, in biology, we have certain semesters where we have sexual education, for example, and other kinds of education. Just the mental stuff is not really talked about that much. So yeah, you're definitely right, and I support you in all these things. But I didn't want to shed a bad light on German education in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
So stigma. Oh, that's a good question. I think so. Like, in every part of the world, I guess. I mean, at least what I have experienced so far in Europe and the USA. But I think that we're making great steps, and I think that especially the young generation partly opens up to the whole feminist ideology, kind of way of thinking, and that's just so powerful, because it gives men the chance to be less the men they have to be in society. And I think that most of the people I talk to, like older people, don't really get feminism at all, and just have kind of put it in like one corner and haven't really opened up to it. But I think that in general, I think that answers your question in general, but that we could make being a man and being a woman so much easier if we kind of open up to these kind of ideology and just stop with the stigma in general.
You keep giving me goosebumps with how you're like phrasing things. You are speaking so articulately and powerfully. And that is, I couldn't agree more with you. I couldn't agree more. And I think that's where my passion comes from, is like, health class is the class where we're supposed to be equipping you guys with these skills to be more compassionate with yourself, love yourself more, love others more, be more compassionate towards others more, like, time management skills, anxiety, like overcoming that, depression, and, social health, building relationships. I have, how you asked me earlier if my kids gave me feedback. So they have, it's been amazing. But I made this Google form, and I made it optional, of course, but I teach college students also. So I pushed it out to them and to my high school and middle school students, and just said, hey guys, like, if you ever think of something that you're going through that you would like more health education on, I can make an episode on it and expand upon that for you. And if you want like a special guest on the episode, like tell me who, like the sky's the limit. You never know who I can get on here. So when I did that, that's actually what got me to reach out to you, because one of my 8th grade students said that she wants to learn more about how to healthily transition into high school because she's really scared about it. And so I just was instantly, my wheels were spinning. I'm like, oh, what high school students could I reach out to and kind of ask for their opinions on and like their experiences? And I just got such great feedback for that. So shout out to her for, this concept, because I would never have thought of this idea, but I think the kids are really excited to feel heard and feel that there is a need in our country, in our world, to expand on health education in all of the ways. And so many people just don't realize that health education is now comprehensive, right? Like when I was in school, how I said it was just physical health and sexual reproduction health, but now it's all of the things. And this is the class that should be preparing you for the world. And that's the problem too, in America anyways, like when kids get to high school, they take health education for 1 semester, their whole high school career. And it's usually their freshman year. So like when they don't care and they're just like, whatever, like I'm in class. But then when they get to be a senior and they've gone through anxiety, they've gone through depression, they've lost friends, they've had bad breakups, they're going through family problems, they don't have this class anymore to help them, and that's what hurts me. And like, that's what makes me so passionate to get amazing people like you on here to share your life experiences, to help these kids know that they're not alone and what they can do to overcome things,
I definitely understand what the student of yours said, that you're kind of scared of about high school and the whole transition, of course, especially back home here. We have these groups of up to 30 kids, and we know these 30 kids, and we go from 5th grade to 10th grade with them. And then the whole groups get ripped apart and put into one big grade. So you're kind of out there and don't really know who you're even talking to. And it was so unknown for me that this already happens in middle school back in America, right? So you don't have these kind of little groups where everybody's name, and everyone kind of, and you hung out with them for a couple of years. No, you're out there and you have to make up your whole grade, and kind of get to know everybody a bit, I guess, and have to deal with so many people at once.
Yeah. And like the fear of rejection, like, are they going to accept me? Are they going to like me? That was a lot of students so far have submitted topics on that, like rejection and like how to make friends, because I don't know how to communicate. And COVID sucked, obviously, and made a huge impact on you guys with your social development, so that's a huge thing. But absolutely. And like the fear of acceptance, rejection, and what will I have any friends? It's just, so are you a junior then?
Right now I'm a junior.
Yeah. So it wasn't long ago that you were a freshman in high school, and so you had nerves and insecurities. What do you think was the biggest insecurity or fear that you had going into high school in general for the first time?
You're talking about the USA?
No, for you, just back at home. Yeah. When you first started high school.
Back at home. Well, we don't really leave the school. We just go up. So the middle school and high school is just mixed together. So I guess I'm just talking about the 10th grade, where these groups get ripped apart, kind of. And well, it was kind of special because I just came home from the USA and kind of made this big step into my life, and kind of had the feeling that I couldn't really connect to anybody in this new grade, because they were at least 1 year younger than me. They were actually kind of the age my sister is in right now. and I didn't really have the feeling that I have anything in common at all with them. And at least for the first half a year, I guess I was alone, kind of. I wanted to go back to America, quite frankly, because I didn't like the new high school and everything. But yeah, it took a lot of time to get used to it, and I'm still not. I'm still in this in between zone between these two grades, and I think that everybody who's retaking a year has made this experience, whether it's due to grades or due to family issues, or there is such a great variety of issues that can make you take this extra year, and it's just a thing that um, I think people don't really think about that much.
Wow, I didn't even think about that, about you going back home. Like in my brain, I'm like, oh my gosh, I bet he's like the coolest kid in Germany coming back from America. Everyone just wants to be him and know all these things. But not to say that, I mean, maybe that's true in some areas, but you said that you ultimately felt alone for a while.
Yeah.
Mm.
It is like that. I imagine it easier when I came home. I imagine it like I kind of made friends in America, and I had a great time. So why can't I do this in Germany? But just this whole nervousness and this willingness as well to get into the new rhythm and to yeah get integrated in this new system was just not there that much as it was in America, where I kind of went into this survival mode to like make friends, get along, and just have a good time, but don't be alone. And back home, I didn't have that feeling that much.
When you came back home from America,
Right.
you had that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. And like that actually does make a lot of sense. I never thought of that at all. But like for us, receiving you was so exciting, like
Yeah.
in our brain, we're like, oh, we're just a normal high school, but oh my gosh, we're getting a foreign exchange student. Like, how cool. Who are you? Tell us everything. Like, oh my gosh, it's almost kind of like you're a celebrity in an odd way. I mean, you may not, I don't know if you felt that way, but I perceived it. I felt like I was your biggest fan in the world when you were here. I thought you were so like just so cultured, and like I myself, even as an adult, was like, tell me all the things about your life.
Yeah, that was so fun on the long walks around school, talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was thankful for everybody who asked me questions, because that's kind of why I was there to, also be there to answer questions about such a like foreign country, I guess. I mean, at least it's over the Atlantic, so kind of
Yeah.
foreign.
Yeah.
This celebrity thing was, if you want to call it that way, was just in the first weeks or so, for sure. That's also kind of this lack of motivation after all. Many different factors play together, but it's also this, oh, hey, you knew, so what's up? Do we want to be friends? And you're just overwhelmed by everything, and you
Yeah.
have too much. And after a week, it's just all gone, and you sit there and think like, weren't there people around me? And and that's where you really have to rethink your whole strategy, and you have to connect to people that really want your attention, and not just like sit around you. Does that
Wow.
make Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. Like eventually life goes back to normalcy,
Yeah.
for sure. Um, but yeah, that's a very interesting point of view. Like I never would have known that you
I
went
mean,
through that had we not had this conversation. Like in my brain, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's literally so amazing, so cool. I mean, you are that anyways in general, but like I'm over here thinking that your whole year probably was like that celebrity moment, but to hear that only a couple of weeks in, it was just like back to normal. I mean, it makes
yeah,
sense. I mean, humans naturally, like we experience new things, we're on this high,
of
and then
course.
okay, we go back.
It was definitely not a thing I was so surprised to. We talked about it in the preparation classes, of course.
Mm.
And who am I to complain about it? I mean, so many other people just, you know, fly below the radar for their whole school life and never get in the spotlight. So I'm not complaining at all or something, but I just wanted to say that this whole, like, I don't know, fame or something,
Yeah.
it wears off so incredibly fast. And if you want to make this choice to become an exchange student, that's the wrong motivation, because that's going to be gone sooner than you can recognize.
That also just gave me goosebumps. That is so powerful. That's so powerful. Because I bet I wouldn't be surprised if there were people in, you know, kids in the world that their motivation is to be seen, you know, and get in the spotlight. Because if they never had that their entire life or never felt acknowledged or anything, like who wouldn't desire that, you know?
Yeah.
So we're gonna actually, that was a great segue into the advice pieces I want to ask you here in a moment. But one question I just thought of, since we're talking about, you know, your experience of people welcoming you, what was your first impression of me like? Was I overwhelming because of my annoying personality?
Okay, first of all, don't say annoying, because that's just making it more difficult to answer. Um, it was so great meeting you, and it felt really great having a coach, having two great coaches, and having you to talk to for the whole season, for sure. And I mean, just the fact that we're talking right now, 2 years after the whole first meeting, is just saying so much about you in particular. And yeah, I was overwhelmed in the first meeting, and I was kind of asking myself what I got into, but it worked out so great. And yeah, I'm so thankful for you having been there, and yeah, still teaching. I think that's your jam, and you should do that for a long time.
Oh, thank you, Sev. That's so
Yeah.
funny. I appreciate your honesty because I can be really overwhelming and like I get so excited and I'm like, oh my gosh, hello. We had a new student. We had a new student come yesterday to our middle school for the first day. And I've learned over the past couple of years, like I'm still gonna be me, like that's just who I am. But I tried to kind of be a little bit more toned down. I'm still happy and smiling and try to be welcoming to new people, but like I try to read the kid first. Like if they're smiling when I meet them, I'll be a little bit more enthusiastic. And but if they just seem really timid, I try to pump the brakes a little bit on my energy. So that is so funny. No, but we absolutely loved having you, and exactly to the point that you just made, like 2 years later, and we still connect, and you know that is very telling and a beautiful thing. So you clearly impacted Wentzville, Missouri, with you being here, and I'm so grateful that I met you, and I'm glad that we will stay in touch.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to ask you, like, so at the end of every episode, I do kind of this like level up moment where, you know, whoever I'm speaking to is provides anything they can think of. So you can say one piece of advice, you can give as much as you want, but my main question for you is if you were to give any pieces of advice to exchange students who are wanting to go down the same route you did, what would you tell them to help them feel safer about this and more comfortable going into the experience?
Well, we're talking about students from the USA wanting to try out being an exchange student, right? So
It could be anything, yeah, however you want to.
anything.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I want to tell them, first of all, that being an exchange student has its ups and downs, for sure, like every part of your life does, and that you're not alone, especially in like um, more professional programs. You're always having persons around you, and having people you can talk to if you want to, and you have that amazing ability that you can connect if you feel the need, that you feel alone, or you feel like mental health is not talked about much in your foreign exchange school, and you want to talk about that. And you can just connect to people. And especially when it comes to the CBYX program, they do not pick any random program for them to facilitate the whole exchange. They pick great people, and I got the chance to yeah, to enroll in this program, and I think you should have the chance to.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. I love that you said you're not alone. And I think people say that so often. And I think some people in general, not just kids in this particular exchange student type of situation, but I think
Mm.
a lot of people hear like, oh, I know they say I'm not alone, but I sure feel like it, you know, how am I going to get out of this? And I think kind of like what I've been hearing you say is, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know, you have, like you just said, like you have people around you to connect with, like you have adults, you have people to talk to and do that. And so would you say that you would encourage kids in this potential future situation to speak up and kind of, you know, take that leap to make connections? Like if
You
they're
mean when they are in the exchange already,
mm-hmm.
and they have issues?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I had the wonderful chance to be or the luck. I want to phrase it. Yeah, the luck to be in a great host family, and the host family was just a real family for me. And it's not always like that. And I talked to so many people who have changed their or had to change their host family 1, 2, 3 times,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just such a great deal of stress and yeah, and just pressure on that person, because you feel like you're doing something wrong, even though you're obviously, I mean, you're not totally wrong if you have to change your family 3 times. It comes down so much to just the 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 mentality around the family, and around you having struggles and them having struggles as well. And in that whole mess of kind of getting into that family, you have to um, be aware that you have the chance to talk to somebody. Does that answer your question, or should I?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was a
Okay.
topic I meant to ask you about with the family, and I completely forgot about that, but that is a huge piece to that. Can you expand a little bit more on your experience with the family? And then also, what advice would you have to a kiddo going into a new family, like how to prepare for that, all
Hmm.
that stuff?
I just had a wonderful family, especially because it was just planned as a welcome family. That's the family you get when you don't really have a actual host family, and they just promise to take you in for 3 weeks to 3 months, and then you're kind of transitioned into a family that has been found until that day. And if not, you kind of have to go back. Your exchange is over if that's not an option.
Mm,
But as I went over there, and as I made my first steps in that family, they were yeah, so welcoming, and so hospital. They had such great hospitality just in the first days. And
mm,
after I think 3 weeks, they just said, hey, we did a vote in the family, and we want you to be part of our family for 1 year. And that opened up my heart so much to them. And we're still in contact till today. We call every week or so. And I'm so incredibly lucky to have had the chance to be in that family. And I know that it's not common, because most of the exchange students kind of have to change their exchange family, host family, at least once. And it's just an experience I didn't want to make.
mm,
And I'm so happy that the family that took me was just so great.
mm. Oh my gosh, I hope they hear this one day. And like, but that's so amazing that you keep in touch with them.
Oh,
And I can't imagine. I mean, that in itself, like not only are you traveling to a new culture, as a kid and learning new things, and then a new school and being around a ton of different people that you're not used to. But then the family that you're living with, like, I mean, that's the main thing, I would think. I mean, that's where you're sleeping, that's where you're eating, like that's where you should feel the safest because you're living there, right?
Yeah, and I don't want to imagine being somewhere I don't feel safe, at night, and sleeping and living with people I don't feel safe around. That would just be the worst. And yeah, I hope that everybody who wants to take an exchange year does not experience that.
Absolutely. I can't imagine. So did you have an opportunity to like meet this family via Zoom or something before you came, or did you not really know until you got here?
Yeah, we did a Zoom call actually, kind of like this one.
Uh-huh.
Um, they saw my flag in the background, and we kind of talked with each other. It was interesting. My English wasn't that good back then, so I still had to kind of get used to it.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's difficult to really get to know a person via Zoom call. I would even say impossible, but I for sure knew that I was going to be in a safe house, and it looked all great. And I had the feeling that they were so excited for me, and that just made me feel so much safer
Mm.
to fly over. And I think it was the only one on the flight that didn't cry because they were so sad to leave their family and stuff. I mean, I was too, but I knew that I was going into a great family.
Oh my gosh, I just got goosebumps again. Stop. I cannot handle it. Do you know? So you had this beautiful, blessing, healthy, safe experience. And so do you know what you would have had to do like if you did not have a good experience with a family? Like what steps would you have had to take to get to a different family?
Mhm. I mean, I bet that's kind of different in the specifics from each program to program.
Mm.
But in my program, we had this app where we had all the emergency phone numbers and emails. So I would have just contacted a person from the program, and they would have, yeah, looked what they could do. But it's just a progress that I don't wish anybody to make,
Mm.
because even though you don't want to live in that family anymore, it often takes a couple of months, or I mean at least a couple of weeks to even get a new family, and sometimes that's not
Mhm.
an option, and you have to you have to pick between going home altogether or being in that family you don't feel really comfortable in. And yeah, I think there are great people working in the program that help you find a new family, but it's not easy, and it can take time, and especially this time in between can be really stressful.
Mm. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine that. One of my best friends' families, I don't remember when they did this, like if the exchange student was in high school. Um, I guess that's what it was. I'm naive to that whole situation, but they had a girl come from Europe as well and stay with them, and she still comes back and visits. I don't know how frequently, but I do know that it wasn't too long ago that she came back and stayed with him and was living with him for a while and was back in America. And like they just had this family, my best friend's family is phenomenal. Like just like the family you stayed with, they're just such wholesome, compassionate, loving people. And I know that that girl still comes back. I met her at a Christmas event once a couple years ago, and she was so sweet too. But they still talk about her, and she still comes back. And like I just can imagine that's like best case scenario for those of you in that type of situation. So, do you think you'll ever come back to visit for anything?
For sure. I mean, I think next summer would be the perfect date, because the grade I was in back then would have been graduated by then, I think. Yeah. So the seniors are going to graduate this year. I think I'm gonna head over and visit some of them, and visit my family, of course, and all the friends I've made.
Now, is I don't you don't have to say the name of the family, but like is the are they the same age as you, the kids? Like were you in their grade of the family?
Yes, I mean, I had one brother that was in the same grade as me, and then I had two younger brothers. One was 3 years old, which was so great, and one was 12 years old back then. And then they had an older sister who was already in college. Yeah, so I got into quite big family, I would say.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it was interesting.
for sure. Like that's a very diverse age range too. That's awesome. That's a really cool experience. Well, that's beautiful that you'll come back. And again, that's absolutely best case scenario that we would hope every student experiences and has that love and support and both ends, right? Like from your family at home. And I mean, I haven't met your parents, but your family sounds amazing to support you and your brother in these endeavors. And like I said, in America, a lot of parents are helicoptery and are very fearful of letting our children take risks like that. So that is really powerful that you have that support system.
Yeah.
And so great. Well, Seb, do you have anything else that you want to share, or are you good?
I think I'm good. I just love this whole talk. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Me too. And I was like, oh, maybe an hour, 30 minutes to an hour. And I'm like, hour and a half. Heck yes. Like I wish
No
almost,
way.
but I was in a rush. Like that's what I'm saying. That's the beauty of this type of situation is like when the conversation is just flowing and learning is happening, it is just the most fun experience.
Yeah.
So I really
great.
appreciate you and thank you so much. You're all the way in Germany, but you figured out the time zones and made this work for me and for these kids. And you are such an amazing human being. And I hope that I can see you selfishly when you come back into town sometime. So
For sure. Yeah. I'll give you a heads up.
please do give you a big hug.
All right.
All right. Seb, good luck with everything and stay in touch, okay?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Courtney. It was great to hear from you, and I'm so thankful that you gave me the chance to talk on your podcast.
Ugh, I'm so grateful for you too. Thanks, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wiedersehen.
As we conclude this episode of After Contract Hours, it's time for the Level Up segment. Severin has shared some invaluable insights for those aspiring to be foreign exchange students someday. Here are 3 key takeaways to help you on your own journey. Number 1, embrace the unknown. Step out of your comfort zone and be open to new experiences. The unfamiliar can be exactly where you grow the most. Number 2, forge genuine connections. Building meaningful relationships with locals and fellow exchange students can create a support system that lasts a lifetime. And finally, speak up if you are struggling. It is important to know that you are not alone throughout the ups and downs that an exchange student endures, and there are lots of people who are willing to help you get to the safe and comfortable place that you deserve to be in this experience. These pieces of advice from Severin are like guideposts for personal growth, no matter where you are in the world. Remember, your journey is what you make of it, so make it extraordinary. Thanks for joining us on this enlightening episode of After Contract Hours. See you next time.